Hello, everyone. How are you doing? And welcome to the reference interview. This is a show coming from St. Louis County Library. We discuss all things small business and nonprofit support. We also discuss all things research, especially our databases coming out of our system. And for June, we're going to be focused on LGBTQIA plus led and focused non-businesses support and nonprofits. Businesses, nonprofit support. Yeah. And my name is Nicole, and today we are here with Jaimie Hileman, who is the trans LGBTQIA plus cultural competency educator for Trans Education Services LLC of St. Louis. Did I get that correct? Okay, perfect. And a board member for the LGBTQIA plus Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for being here, Jaimie. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I know you're getting over a cold, so I'll be gentle with all these questions. All right, so first thing, can you tell us a little bit about the history of the chamber and how you came on board?
Sure. So the St. Louis LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce actually has a long history. It goes back to 1989. It was first called the Gateway Business Guild and operated as such up until 2 years ago, when during a reorganization, we thought a more contemporary and more forward-looking and name with a greater reach and something that actually told people a little bit more about what the organization did would be the right thing to do. So it goes back a long ways, and it started out initially as kind of a support group for business owners at a time when there weren't a lot of LGBTQ business owners in the area.
Mm-hmm. And so when did you start working with them?
I actually started as a volunteer on the membership committee almost 10 years ago.
Oh, nice.
So I think in 2014 I started volunteering.
Wonderful. And when did you become a board member?
That was in 2018.
2018. Okay, wonderful. All right, next question. So there are an estimated 4,000 chambers just in the US alone. Why do you think an LGBTQIA plus person should consider joining your chamber versus another? Or do you think they should, shop around a little bit? What are your thoughts around that?
Sure. That's a very fair question. We get it all the time. So the first thing I would say is that even though we're the St. Louis LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce, we work regionally and we have members for both sides of the river in the Metro East, as well as all throughout the St. Louis metropolitan region. We're the only chamber that has a particular mission statement for serving both the businesses and the community for LGBTQ plus people. We are an NGLCC affiliate. NGLCC is the overriding national organization, the National LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce, and they have the ability to certify businesses as LGBTBE, which is, and I'm going to be throwing around a lot of letters. Feel free to stop me at any point if you want any explanation for any of the acronyms. But that's a LGBT business entity. And so a lot of folks working with the federal government and other large corporations that have specific diversity call outs in terms of their business partners and suppliers look for certain affiliated businesses, minority owned, that might be ethnic, that might be gender, woman owned businesses, multilingual businesses, LGBTQ owned businesses. So the NGLCC can do that for LGBT owned businesses, majority owned businesses, that type of certification that kind of gets a little extra attention when it comes to bids and getting the really big business entities to kind of see what they have to offer. We also have a great savings for NGLCC membership. If you join the local chamber, that fee is waived. So we offer folks that maybe are wanting to kind of do some business, particularly as an LGBT business, to get a little bit more of attention. We also work with other regional chambers and affinity groups. So that might be, the St. Louis Regional Chamber of Commerce, it might be the North County Chamber of Commerce, it might be the AAPI Chamber. So we do that, and then we also have an updated mission as the St. Louis Chamber to collaborate with nonprofits and service organizations in our area as well.
Amazing. Okay, so currently, how many business members do you have?
We have 104 members.
Okay. And what kind of fees are you looking at for joining your chamber?
So membership starts at the stakeholder level at $100. There are 4 membership levels with fees going up to the premier level at $3,000.
Okay.
But just the basic stakeholder membership allows people to use all of our website functionality and networking, coaching, and other and professional development opportunities.
Okay. And so about the networking and all those kinds of things, how often do you do that throughout the year?
So pre-pandemic, we had monthly and bi-monthly networking events. We had quarterly special events. During the pandemic, we went from nothing to having asynchronous and then online programming. And we're still kind of twixt and tween right now between offering things via Zoom and more in-person events. Last September, we actually had our very first in-person event, which was a picnic, a membership, getting to know you after the apocalypse event for just getting to meet other members and potential members. So we try to have at least one activity monthly. We do everything from professional development seminars on marketing people, on how people can use different marketing tools to promote their business referrals, network, as well as networking events, and hosting folks who are B2B, business to business entities, and different things that they had that might be of particular interest to our business community.
Wonderful. So for the fees, say you have a business that can't currently cover even the $100, do you offer any kind of scholarships to assist with that?
We do. And that's kind of a difference between the Gateway Business Guild before and the broader mandate that we have now as the St. Louis LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce. We are able to do that, to bring folks in and see what we can do with our network of referrals and coaches and experienced business people, see what we can do to help them. So yeah, unequivocally, the answer to that is yes.
Awesome. Okay, so does your chamber have an online directory of the businesses that are currently involved?
Yes. So if you go to our main website, St. Louis LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce.com. So it's just that, .com. If you Google that, it'll take you right to our website. And then you can click on online directory, and it's sortable by type of business you might be looking for, by business name. And if it has a person's professional name or title attached with it, you can search that way as well. So it's much more functional. It's a new website for us. I guess I'm still a little bit proud of it. The work that we've done, none of us being techies and working our way through this in the middle of the pandemic to get to where we are now.
Awesome. All right. So taking a little step back, you've been involved with the organization for 10 years. Have you seen the needs of businesses change over time, and what has that looked like?
Yeah, quite a bit. We started out largely professionals in communications, marketing, IT, finance. Probably about half our membership was that, say, 10 years ago. Single owners, LLC, small businesses. We have a lot of larger businesses now, and we have a lot of businesses that have interest outside of the area. We feel like we're kind of more part of the area business, but also at the same time more involved with the LGBTQ community itself. We have many more relationships with organizations, and particularly nonprofits and community service agencies that we help out where we can, and particularly by providing communications and and boosting other folks' bandwidth where we're able.
Mhm. Awesome. Okay, so speaking of that pandemic, how did that change your operations? So I can imagine that suddenly being faced with that, all events are off and that's not happening. So, um, w- how did you all try to think about addressing the needs that people still had, even with the pandemic going? And was that difficult? Like, what were the challenges there?
Sure. So we actually started out in a way in the hole. We had had a large organizational uh, you know, turnover, and we realized that, we kind of needed a reorg and a rethink and to kind of redevelop. We also needed a new website, so we had just kind of got started on figuring that out. And we're an all volunteer organization, no paid positions, and we are a working board. And we had just started figuring that out, and then the pandemic came.
Mm.
So it's taken us a while to work through that. But on the other hand, I think it's also given us a perspective that's really useful, because everyone else has had to work through it for better or worse, to greater or lesser extent. And we've all picked up some lessons learned along the way.
Mhm.
So, and we're all also, everyone on the board is a small business owner and professional. So we have that perspective to share as well, our own struggles in businesses as well as with the chamber. So things that are different. We've all become a lot better at using social media tools
Mm.
and business organizations. Things like Yelp, Square. Those are tools that some of us were familiar with before, but now almost everyone uses in some fashion or another.
Mhm.
And of course, everything that social media can do, for better or worse, and how to maximize that advantage and how to integrate it with online web presence as well as just daily business functions. I think our learning curve on that has been tremendous. It's amazing the things you can learn when you have to in the middle of a pandemic.
Right. You're like, suddenly I got to be very flexible and be ready to learn. Okay, so speaking to those individuals that are like, I'm interested, but I'm not quite sure. So, what would you say to someone who is concerned about the return on their investment for becoming a member of the chamber?
Sure. Well, I would invite them to give us a chance. Like I said earlier, we've really expanded our capabilities. Um, you know, Coming out of the pandemic over this last year, we've actually grown double digits our membership. And this is during a difficult time. And in fact, right now is a difficult time for our community and for business, socially, culturally, economically. And we have a lot of challenges in our region. But we also have a lot of survival strategies that we can share with each other. I would invite persons wanting to get an idea for who we are to take a look at our website, look at our calendar, our community calendar, look at our event calendar, and look at our other functions like our job board. In the community calendar and the job board, those are functions that are available to everyone, not just members.
Mhm.
And we invite folks to use it who want to use our platform to look for work or look for people to hire. So there are things to see there, and I invite them to start there. And of course, through there, they can always reach out to us, and we can answer specific questions. And we usually try to do so pretty quickly.
Wonderful. So, if they've decided to take the leap, is there a way for them to sign up for the chamber through the website?
Absolutely. Just click on Join the Chamber on that drop down on the website, and the portal will walk them right through it.
Wonderful. Okay. So since this is coming out in June, are there any events in the fall or late summer that you're especially excited about?
So we don't have that calendar fully loaded yet. A lot of people are still trying to figure out exactly what June's going to look like now that we're completely post the pandemic. I think though, if you take a look at last June's calendar, which was pretty full, we will have at least as many events this year. Um, in terms of our own events, and then those events that we support and boost. So there'll be a lot to see come June and July and August and into September.
Wonderful. Okay, so stepping away from the chamber and talking more about your small business. So you're a cultural competency, my goodness, words are hard, educator. Can you tell us what that position entails exactly?
Sure. So I do everything from trans and LGBTQ cultural competency, educational facilitations and trainings, to DEI, LGBTQ focused diversity, equity and inclusion, strategic planning and development. I do this largely with HR and corporate entities. That's about a third of my client base, about a third education, a third healthcare.
Hmm.
So I might just be kind of plug and play for them. Someone might have me come in and do training with key stakeholders or supervisors, faculty, staff, administration, patient or client facing workforces on trans LGBTQ cultural competency and allyship. And I work a lot with HR and DEI departments, looking for opportunities to expand what their inclusion enterprise looks like. So I might be delivering a facilitation, I might be meeting with key stakeholders and helping them in the strategic planning process, and then everything in between.
Okay. Have you seen, you said a lot of it's been with HR and then corporate entities, and then of course, all the others coming in behind it. Have you seen a shift in what people are asking for when they are asking you to come out and train? Like what kind of things are companies looking for support?
Yeah, I have seen a lot of change, and lot of folks now are really looking at how can I best support my employees, my customers, my clients, who have trans people in their lives, and of course the same for all the folks who are trans and LGBTQ. But a lot more of the educational facilitations being booked now are transgender oriented. Some of it is because there's a fear over what will workplace environments and rights look like for trans people. There's a lot of question about what that will look like in the near future, much less the long term. Also, a lot of businesses are wanting to take a leadership role here and be proactive and really step forward and say, we're committed to our trans and LGBTQ employees. We're committed to our existing DEI work, and initiatives, and we're not backing away from that. So bringing someone like me in, who's a member of the community, as well as an educator, as well as a business person, and an educational consultant professional, it demonstrates that commitment. So I bring a lot to the table for companies and businesses of all kinds that want to demonstrate that they're willing to go the distance and see what they can do to see through this current moment to continue progress.
Yeah. So you sort of already answered my next question, but I'll go ahead and ask it anyway. So
Sure.
there have been a lot of conversations around DEI practices of all kinds, right? Even in my library system, we're always having those conversations about what that means. So if a workplace is interested in making their in being more inclusive of their trans employees even, or patrons, or any others under the LGBTQIA plus umbrella, where would you suggest that they start?
Sure. Well, first, before answering that, I'd like to say that, I come to DEI as a business person. And before I began LGBTQ advocacy, and then this work particularly as an educational consultant, I had over 24 years in the corporate world. So I come to it with a philosophy and a platform that DEI and LGBTQ inclusion is a value added. This is an enhancement for business. This isn't an onerous requirement that is the flavor of the moment. This is something that could help them build long-term value and equity in their HR programs, and not just in talent acquisition. You can look at all the articles from Forbes and other business magazines over the last 10 years about the business case for diversity and how more diverse work teams are more innovative, more productive, have more longevity, less turnaround, increase employee satisfaction, engagement, and loyalty. And it's good business sense to invest in robust DEI programs. If it's all about just a few platitudes here and there and a guest speaker once a quarter, it's not going to amount to much. But if people invest in it, there's a distinct and tangible return on investment at the bottom of the line. I would suggest folks looking at incorporating trans and LGBT cultural competency. In terms of, now I'm actually going to try to answer the question you asked me.
Yeah.
Where would they start? I would say, starting at the front door. If I was a potential employee, they might imagine, what would they see about a business in terms of someone researching non-discrimination policies? What's out there in the world that would communicate what that looks like? Is this a good place to work? And that's important. When you look at, millennials and Gen Z, who combined are the single largest segment of the workforce right now, and certainly ongoing for quite a while, a lot of them look at how companies look at LGBTQ employees as a benchmark for how they treat their whole workforce. So there's a particular downstream add-on effect in terms of LGBTQ inclusion and what it means for a lot of folks looking for a workplace. And that's a big plus for HR people who are looking to recruit the best talent. So I would suggest, what does that look like? Their non-discrimination policies, their inclusion policies, their calendars. Do they market to LGBTQ people seasonally throughout the year and not just in June during Pride Month? So those are some things I would suggest that companies could look at. If someone were on the outside looking in about all things LGBTQ, those are a couple of areas where a small amount of activity could have a lot of net beneficial effect.
Yeah. And you actually also answered my next question, which was talking about if you are looking at recruitment, it seems a lot of that has to begin with culture. And you did speak to that, saying like people will be able to look at the non-discrimination policy and understand there. Do you think there's any other piece of the culture that would really contribute to a more inclusive feeling environment before they begin recruiting in earnest?
Oh, sure. So those are the kind of easy ones, the non-discrimination policies, calendar marketing, but, Yelp and other, online reading groups, you can see a lot by looking at reviews. And that's even for people who aren't just, restaurants and retail and, consumer-oriented businesses. There's a lot you can see on Yelp, even about large corporations and professional businesses. So, people look at that. People also look for, employee handbooks, tables of organization, what companies' human rights campaign, corporate equality index ratings look like. So those are all ways that a person can, look at whether a company is a good fit for them or not, whether they're LGBTQ or not. But obviously, I'm more familiar with the LGBTQ specific metrics. But those are all different ways above and beyond any specific DEI initiatives that companies can do some real work that make them more attractive to a wider and more diverse range of potential employees.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So my final question, we did so great on time. I can't even believe it. So your educator services, someone wanted to reach out. How can they reach you? What are your socials? What's your website? All that information.
Sure. So my website, www.transedservice.com, is by far the best way to reach me.
Awesome. And do you have any social media that you want to boost at the moment?
Yes, actually. You can access me as well through the St. Louis Chamber LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce and through their LinkedIn and Facebook. So you can find me there as well.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for this interview. This has been so enlightening. I feel like I learned a ton, and thank you so much for being here. As far as for those of you who hold St. Louis County Library cards, if you are trying to start a small business or you're wanting to look into chambers and things like that, we can assist you. You can also look on our website at slcl.org under our small business resources. There's a lot of information there and a lot of databases that we can support you with. And if you are just wanting to talk to someone about your small business and sort of getting started, maybe making all these lists of chambers that you want to look into, you can schedule us with Book a Librarian. It's through our website. You fill out the form, we'll be in contact with you, and we'll meet one-on-one. You get an hour to sort of pick our brains, and we'll refer you out to whoever we think can support you. So again, Jaimie, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day, and hopefully we'll speak with you again soon, and hope you have a restful, less sick rest of your week.
Thank you.